Hi, thanks for registering and welcome to the introduction session of Mastering MS Excel 2016. For this course, you will require access to a computer or a laptop with MS Excel installed on it. And you'll be glad to know that it's not necessary you have the latest version of MS Excel installed, as most of the functionalities we will be discussing you'll find in the older versions as well. Before jumping onto the course content, I will take a moment here to introduce Analytics Sleep. We are a team of three people with over 30 years of experience in the world of analytics. During our tenure, we've worked across multiple domains like banking, pharma industries, telecom carriers, and we've come across and used a number of tools like SAS, MS Excel, Python, R, Tableau to name a few. While designing the course, we've kept in mind to show you the practical application of these tools so that you can instantaneously start using them. Now with the introductions done, I will move on to the course content. We've split the course into 10 modules. I will show you how the different modules look like. In the first module, we will be discussing some of the basics of Excel, like what are cells, what are columns, what are rows, what is a worksheet. We will then move on to discuss a toolbar. Now for your easy reference, we've provided an ebook following each of these videos, which basically lists down whatever we have covered in that session. At the end, we've provided some exercises for you as well. In the second module, we will discuss some basic worksheet operations like how to format, how to switch from one window to another, among other things. And then we will move on to discussing cells and ranges and lastly cover tables in this module. Again, as I mentioned earlier also, we've got following each session over here, we've got ebooks and we've got their corresponding exercises. In the third module, we will discuss formats in detail and then we will discuss what is conditional formatting and also go through the different kinds of conditional formatting. We've got some really good exercises based on conditional formatting over here. Moving on, in the fourth module, we've got one of the backbones of MS Excel, formulas. Now the video over here, this will talk about some of the basics of formulas and then we've created some material for you. This particular Excel file consists of 50 plus functions, and for each of these functions we've given a description of how the formulas work, what are the syntaxes for a formula, what are the different types of parameters which need to be passed, and then we've got some examples and exercises for you to work upon. My suggestion would be not to skip this chapter and do all the exercises before moving ahead. In the fifth module, we've got data protection and data validation. Now these are used in Excel to protect the data or the sanctity of the data, and again we have exercises built around them. The sixth module covers different kinds of charts. We've broken down the entire module into different sections based on different charts, and we've got exercises for you as well. Time and again during this module, we will ask you to pause the video in between and analyze the trends. This is all to give you a flavor of how charts are used in analytics. In the seventh module, we cover pivots. Again, this is one of the most important functionalities in Excel, as a pivot table allows you to summarize data. We have a couple of case studies for you to go through as well based on real world examples. In the eighth and the ninth module, we cover some of the data analysis aspects of Excel. So in the eighth module, we are covering what if analysis, goal seeking, and then solver. Whereas in the ninth module, we are covering how to calculate descriptive statistics, ranks, percentiles, ANOVA. We are covering some of the statistical tests which are there, all using the data analysis functionality of Excel. Then we move on to the 10th module, which is VBA. From covering some of the basic building blocks of VBA, which is recording a macro, writing a simple macro, to creating your own custom functions using VBA, and then using events and form controls to create a user form. We've covered it all over here. At the end, we've got exercises based on all of these different topics which we are covering. Wishing you the very best and hope you excel at Excel. Bye for now. Thanks. Welcome back. As the name suggests, we would be discussing some of the basics of Excel file in this particular session. Following are the topics which we would be discussing: what is a workbook or a worksheet, how to create a workbook, what are cells, columns, rows, and what values can be entered in a cell. Now, the answer to the first question is very simple. An Excel file is called a workbook. Now, let's get started with creating one. Go to the Start menu and search for an Excel icon. For me, it is not present here, so I'll just scroll through the various programs I've got on my system. I've got the Excel 2007 version over here, but I would be using the 2016 version. This is the Excel 2016 icon, so I'll just click on it to open it. At the moment, I'll just select blank workbook. This is how an Excel file looks like. If you have an older version of Excel, that is 2003, 2007 or 2010, you may have noticed that as soon as you opened the file, you had 3 sheets over here. So I can add more sheets to my file in the 2016 version by just clicking on the plus. In the older versions, it's the default setting, so not much of a difference as such. Now, an important thing to note over here is that these tabs are independent of each other. So you can do anything in sheet 1 without impacting your work in sheet 2 or sheet 3 and so on. Now let's talk about the naming conventions of these sheets. Supposedly I want to rename this particular tab or worksheet as it is called from sheet 1 to something else. I'll go to sheet 1, I'll do a right click of my mouse and this menu will pop up. I click on rename and now I can enter whatever I want to. Another thing which you need to keep in mind is in one Excel file, no two tabs or worksheets can have the same name. So if I want to keep the name of my second tab also as my work, Excel will give me an error. Let's see. Excel throws an error that the name is already taken, so try a different one. So in order to differentiate it from the first name, let's say I just add a numeric 1. Now because it is different, Excel is okay with that. There are some special characters also which you cannot use while renaming a tab or a sheet. In the document following this video, I've given a list of all those special characters, some of them being a question mark or a star or a slash. Now you may have noticed these boxes. These boxes are called cells. In an Excel file, you've got millions of cells. In a cell, you can input 3 different types of values. You can enter a text, you can enter a number, or you can enter a formula. Let's say for a text, I've got someone's name, Gary. For a number, let's say I've got his age, 30. For showing how you can enter a formula in a cell, I'll give you an example. I've got 5 employees, A, B, C, D, F. I've got their salary, $100, $200, 100 again, 50, 300. Now let me just convert it into dollars. We will be going through the formats in detail in the relevant module. Now let's suppose I want to find out the average income being earned by these 5 individuals. So for that I will use a function average. The way to call a formula in an Excel file is by first typing equal to and then the name of the formula, bracket open. Over here I want to find out the average of these 5 cells, bracket close, and I've got $150. So these are the 3 different values which you can enter in an Excel file. One thing you may have noticed that whenever I'm moving my cells from one location to another, this particular area keeps on changing. So right now it is J10. Now it changes to H5. Now it changes to M13, J12. What this area name box basically gives me is the location of the cell or the address of the cell. Right now it is telling me that the cursor is on column J, row 12. If I move on to column H, row 7, the address changes over here. In Excel, the columns are vertical, and they are named from A. As I keep on scrolling down, they keep on increasing A, B, C, D, and so on. After Z, they go to A, B, A, C, A, D. If I go to the very end, it stretches all the way to XFD. In total, you've got more than 16,000 columns in an Excel file. All the rows are horizontal and they are sequentially ordered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. As I keep on scrolling down, the numbers keep on increasing, and if I go to the very end, this is slightly over 1 million. So basically, you can have almost 1 million observations in your Excel file, which is a lot of data. Now, apart from the three different types of values which we can enter in an Excel file, we can also have charts, graphs, we can also import pictures in an Excel file. One final point on workbook or Excel files. You can open multiple Excel files together and can switch from one file to another, either using your mouse or there's a shortcut on the keyboard by pressing the Control key and the Tab key. Now with the introduction of workbooks and worksheets done, the next video will explain the top section of an Excel file. This top section is called a toolbar. Hi, welcome back. In the last topic, we had answered some basic questions like what is a workbook, how a workbook can be created, what are worksheets, the nomenclature around worksheets, and then we had also discussed what are cells and the kind of values which can be entered in a cell. Now in this particular session, we will be discussing about a toolbar. The topmost section of an Excel file is called a toolbar. A toolbar has different groups. It has home group, it has insert, page layout, formulas, data, review, and view. Now what Microsoft has done is it has bundled up similar commands together in a group. So for example, in the home group, we've got all the commands related to alignment. We've got all the commands related to font. Let's take example of the formulas group. In the formulas group, we've got all the different types of formulas which are there in an Excel file. We've got the logical formulas, we've got the financial formulas, we've got text, date and time, we've got statistical formulas as well. Apart from the formulas, we've got some formula auditing commands as well. Now what I'll do, I'll walk you through these groups one by one and we'll discuss some of the commands which are used on a daily basis. Over here, I've got a sample of 9 students. I've got their sex, age, and weight. I've also calculated their average age, which comes around to be 12. So the way it has been calculated is we've used the function average and we've selected these cells. Now for starters, let's say I want to change the appearance of my column names. Let's say I want to change the cell colors. So for that, I'll go to fill color. There's a drop down over here and you can select any color you want. Let's say I select orange and the default font color is black, but you can select whatever you want to. Let's say I select green. Right now for this particular data, the font type is of Calibri. Let's change it to, and you can notice the difference. Over here it is Calibri, whereas over here it is Expert Sans Regular. So the way they are appearing is different. Let's make it consistent. So let's change this also to Expert Sans Regular. Now they are same. Excel gives you a lot of options. There are a lot of different font types over here. You can select whatever you are comfortable with or whatever you like. At the same point of time, you can also change the font size. So right now for this particular data set, it is 14. Let's keep it to 12. Now in this particular data set, all the values have been center aligned, but by default, all the character values are left aligned, whereas all the numeric values, they are right aligned. But it's always better to have them center aligned. It makes it more representable and easier to read. So using these buttons, you can either left align them, you can center align them, you can right align them. Now let's create a table. So clicking on borders, it gives you various options of the kind of table you want. Right now I want to have borders for all the cells and the overall data set. So clicking on all borders and selecting this option, I've got borders for all my cells over here. Let's use some of the other font options as well. Bold just bolds the text which you are selecting. Italic, you can also underline. Now let's use the cut, copy and paste options. Supposedly I want to cut this information from row 12 and paste it onto row 11. So I select them, I go to cut. There's a shortcut as well, Control plus X. Click on it, go to row 11 and then click on paste. This is how you use the cut and paste option. Now, in order to understand how a copy and paste works, supposedly now I want to move this data from row 11 to row 12, but at the same time I don't want to remove it from row 11 as well. So I go to row 11, I select the cells and then I go to copy, I go to row 12 and I click on paste. Now, as soon as you did this, you will get a smart tag. And this only comes when you are doing a copy and paste option. When you click on it, it gives you different options. Paste is what we have done. Now formulas. If I do a formula, let's see how this cell will change. Okay. Now supposedly I just select on formulas. It will just keep the formula, but all the formattings and everything will be gone. If I select formulas and number formatting, it will keep the formulas. It has the formula over here similar to this, just that it is not taking the other formatting, which is cell formatting. The number formatting is still there. It is appearing as 12 over here. It is appearing as 12 over here as well. Keep source formatting. So the format will be exactly the same from where we have copied the information. By selecting no borders, the formatting would be the same, just that the borders would be gone now. So over here we had borders, over here we won't be having those borders. Keep source column widths the same. So over here, because we are copying and pasting them in the same column, so it will not have much impact. Going to values. If I click on values, all the formatting is done. The formula is also done. So over here we had formulas, over here the formula is done. It's gone. Values and number formatting. So this is similar to formulas and number formatting. Just that over here we won't be copying the formula, only the value would get copied. So it will show as 12, which is the same number format as over here, just that the formula is gone now. Value and source formatting. The value would be there, all the formatting from the source would be there, just that the formula won't be there. There are other options also which we would not be discussing right now because they are not used that much. Now let's say I want to delete this particular row as I don't need it anymore. I select the entire row, I go to delete and I click on delete sheet rows. It deletes the row. Now let's suppose I want to delete weight column D. I will select column D and I will then just select a delete sheet column. It will delete column D. But because I would be using it later on, so let's just undo this operation, which is a shortcut Control plus Z. Similarly, we can use the insert commands also over here. Supposedly I want to insert a column before column B. So one option is to do a right click and click on insert. This is something which we'll go through in the next session. But over here using the home group, we'll select the column. We'll click on insert, insert sheet columns. This inserts a column. Let's undo it. Let's say I want to apply a filter over here. So I go to sort and filter. I click on filter. A filter gets created. I've got 4 different ages over here. I've got 11, 12, 13 and 14. Let's say I just want all the students who have an age of 11. So I click on age, I untick this and I just select 11. So now I've just got two cases over here, for the students who've got their age as 11. And this is how, by clicking on clear filter from age, I will remove that filter. Let's say I want to look only at the female students. Then I untick the male ones. I've got all the female ones. And let's highlight them with any particular color. Let's say with blue. And now again I can remove the filter. There are other options also in the home group. Let's look at the sort and filter. So we've used filter. Let's say I want to sort this data. So I've got the custom sort. I've clicked on it. I want to sort them on the basis of their sex. I click on sex and I want to sort them basis the values in this particular column. And order A to Z would mean that F would come before M, so all the females would come before the males. Now let's say I want to add another dimension to it. So I go to sort and filter, I click on custom sort. The data is already being sorted by the sex. Let's click on add level. Now let's sort them on the basis of their age as well. So within males or within females right now you can see in the female group got 11, 12, 11, 13. By adding a new level of age, it will sort the female group as well with respect to their age. So we'll have 11, 11, 12 and 13. Similarly for the male ones, we'll have all the ones which have 12 first, 13 and then 14. Let's move on to the insert group now. Pivot table. So you can insert a pivot table in an Excel file by going to the data set for which you want to create that pivot table, clicking on pivot table. Over here, the first section talks about the range. Over here, we are talking about column A1, cell A1 till cell D10. We want all the values. So we've got A1 over here and D10 over here. Then Excel asks us whether we want to have the pivot in the same worksheet, which would be the existing worksheet, or a new worksheet. Let's click on new worksheet and then OK. So pivot table gets created. Table option. Now we would be going through the benefits of a table in the next module, but in Excel it's always beneficial to let Excel know that this particular data set is a table. It helps in speeding up your work basically. In the insert group, you've got options like inserting pictures. You can also insert some inbuilt shapes, like let's say I want to insert a rectangle. You can change the color. Right now the default color is blue, but you can change it from here. Let's say you want to keep it blue gray, and let's say you want to add some text to it. So do a right click and click on edit text. Now in order to change the font, we go to the home group again. Let's say I want to increase the font to 16. I want to align it, do a middle align and then a center align. So there are lots of different shapes which you can insert in an Excel file. At times they help in creating a flowchart diagram also. Then you can also input charts as well. All the charts are over here. So just a simple example of a chart. Let's say I select sex and age over here and I want to insert a chart, a 2D column. What this chart tells me is that I've got 4 female data points over here with their ages 11, 11, 12 and 13. Similarly, I've got 5 data points over here with their ages over the y-axis. Let's do a control Z right now because I don't want the chart right now. Similarly, you can also input other objects or other Excel files using the object option over here. So basically you can import other Excel files or PowerPoint presentations within an Excel file. Moving on to the next group, which is page layout. This is mostly used for uh, changing the orientation from portrait to landscape, and it's more related to a page setup for printing purposes. Similar to your desktop, you can also change the background of your Excel file. Moving on to the next group, which is the formulas group. As I discussed about this earlier, it consists of all the different formulas. It consists of some commands used for auditing a formula. We will be discussing formulas in detail later in the course. Moving on to data. This particular group is used when we want to import data from other sources. So we can import data in an Excel file, from a text file, from an MS Access database. Then there are some options like filters and sorts, which are similar to what we had come across in the first section, that is the home group. There are some options of it, what if analysis, forecast sheet, data validation, which we would be covering in the advanced Excel module. Now let's look at remove duplicates. Let's make some changes to this data set. Let's say I've got the same information which I had over here appearing over here also. Now this is just an example of 9 odd students, but what if I've got 10,000 records? It would be very difficult for me to remove the duplicate values by just looking at the data. So right now I know, okay, Alfred is appearing over here, Alfred is appearing over here also. But if I click on remove duplicate, it will take care of this particular row which is being repeated twice. So I select the entire data set. I click on remove duplicates. It will ask me on which all columns do I need to remove the duplicate. So I want to remove the duplicate basis all these columns. When I click on OK, it gives me a prompt. One duplicate value found and removed. 9 unique values remain. So this is how remove duplicates can be used. Moving on to the next section, which is a review section. This is used for proofreading. Basically, it can check the spellings in your Excel file. This is also used to protect your worksheet by locking some of the cells so that no one else can edit them. Or it can also be used to protect your entire Excel file. Last is the view group. The view group is basically used to change the way you are viewing the file. So right now, if I click on grid lines, all the cell borders appear now, but if I again untick it, the cell borders are gone. Similarly, if I untick formula bars, this formula bar goes off. If I click on headings, all my column names and row numbers, they are gone. Moving on to the zoom option. Right now the zoom is set at 100%. You can change the zoom from plus or minus over here also, but let's use the zoom command over here. Let's say I want to do it at an 80%. So it just shrinks the Excel file a bit. We will be discussing the next session around arrange all and switch windows. Last, I would want to discuss the file group over here. If you don't have the 2016 version but are working on an older version, you will see a Windows icon present over here next to home rather than a file group. But the basic functionality of both of them are the same. Clicking on file, you can open new Excel files from here. You can open another Excel file without going to a desktop or a folder in which you've saved that file. You can save an Excel file. Shortcut to this is Control plus S. If it's a new file which you have never saved before, then you can save it as whatever you want. You can give a command to print something, which you can also do it from the layout. And then you can also close the file. But for closing the file, rather than going to the file command again and again, you can also close it from here.